Oh, man.
The Mary and Joe Show. It's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, sharing a bit of the Canna lifestyle with the coffee talk. You'll hear interviews, reviews on products, a bit of my own personal life experiences, and sharing on YouTube for over 10 years now, being active on the internet with my own chronic illnesses, and many interviews in the future, along with a dose of a normalcy. We are a community around the world, and I bring you this podcast to give you a normal place to enjoy your Mary and your Joe. Hello, everybody. Let me get this screen ready to go here. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day out there listening. We are the Mary and Joe Show, and I have my lovely two co-hosts on today for a very special episode. Please welcome everybody, Tuki Roo and Marie Tarot 504. Welcome.
Hello,
Good
hello.
evening.
This is a big show for us because we have been, as we can say it in true history, a part of history, 17 years survivors of Hurricane Katrina. Technically, some of us are refugees. Some of us are twice over refugees, meaning I'm a cannabis refugee and a Katrina refugee. But I think all of us here can truly speak on our own experiences from the memories we've had from the last 17 years. And so that's why we've come together tonight to share a little bit of our own history on our Katrina memories and what from then to now our lives are, and to go and start an episode series here sharing, going back, looking at the old news reports, learning a bit about other people's stories. So tonight's a big night for us to just kind of unwind and share with you guys. I hope you guys are ready for it. We are enjoying some Mary and some Joe tonight. Some of us are just enjoying the Joe and others are enjoying the Mary. But are you token on anything good tonight, Tuki?
Yeah, I'm token on life right now. I
There
achieved
you
something
go,
really
sir.
big in life
Do
today.
share, do share.
It was just a major project on my job site today, and we were running the wire from the poles outside and the generators into the building. So it was just a major project, and we got it out the way. So I'm feeling great, man, and I'm just glad to be here. Glad to give my service.
Is it a done job or do you still have more to do to that job?
Yeah, we're gonna finish up. It started raining down on us, and we stayed
Ooh,
overtime today.
gotcha.
Yeah, so I got paid a little bit more. It was motivating, and it was,
Absolutely.
it was one of the toughest things I've ever accomplished.
For
But
real.
yeah, the thing is I'm actually in town because of Hurricane Ida too. So it's kind of crazy.
Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, we're going to have to touch on that one because I actually doing research tonight and the last few days, getting my mind back to the facts of Katrina. Had no
So,
idea that
so
Ida really
Ida like
was
PSD
huge.
of Katrina for you?
yeah. I mean,
I mean, in a sense, do you think?
yeah. The thing was, is a lot of businesses closed for a long time. The place that I was working at, I was just working at the mall at the time. Something real simple, but it was giving me a life. At the time, hardly. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing was
Mm-hmm.
that small life that I had going on got taken away from me for a few months, and I was relocated out of town. We had major outages, and it's funny that I'm doing electrical now because we need
Right.
electricians to come into town and put the power lines back up. That was a big problem.
I mean, you guys are literally, even if you weren't doing it then, you know that you guys are the lifeblood of where we're from. I mean, if you don't have power, you don't have much of
Yeah,
anything
it's
normal.
just one part of a lot of things that are the lifeblood, I guess you could say. It's just something I appreciate doing, and I hope one day I
What's the
could do some power
longest
lines for if a hurricane comes again, I
Ooh,
want to be on the front line. I want to help.
yes. How long have you ever been out of power during a
Oh man,
hurricane? If it wasn't Katrina,
Oh, jeez.
I
real
think it was
question.
at least 2 months, huh?
Oh, 2 months,
Yeah,
no power.
I was only 9 years old during Hurricane Katrina, but it was very
Hmm.
vivid for me because my family had to come in and reconstruct a lot of things, and there were
Hmm.
trees overturned, and a lot of people weren't allowed back in the city if they weren't building.
It was if you were a council, um, any electoral position that you had to do, and then construction workers at first while
Yes.
they didn't have power. And
It was just military and construction mostly, and every now and then there was, yeah, I guess cars driving
my
by.
uncle was the councilman at
It
that
very
point
rarely.
of a district in Jefferson Parish. So my grandmother, my aunt, and him were allowed to come back in the city.
It was
And
weird.
my grandmother was there that whole time. After a week after Katrina happened, she went back to her house and stayed there and survived on crackers. And
Oh
Yeah,
peanut
my
butter crackers.
and
gosh.
out of town, it's crazy too. Like, so she was in town for the hurricane.
No, she left town in a week. It took a week for them to allow the councilman back in, and that's how she was able to get back
Yeah,
in.
and you're just eating crackers. And was she able to get down to the
She didn't
street
want
for
nobody to
MREs?
take her stuff, and she was wild.
Oh yeah, and she had a chance to.
Wow.
Yeah, the first people to come back. We were kind of looking out for everybody too, like
But
making
can
sure
you
things
laugh at
weren't
that?
being
Knowing
looted.
little Mimi that she was like, I'm going
It's
back to my house.
amazing. That's amazing. That is
Yeah,
the
resilient.
survival at
I
its
can say
finest.
for sure.
Just to let the viewers know some of the things you will see tonight on your viewing screen. If you're actually watching the podcast, you will see a little bit of the things before,
Is that
a little bit
canal? Or...
going. This is going, actually, this was a video of a couple. Now, I want to give everybody a shout out. If you guys can see the bottom of this video, OC Digital Video, let's subscribe to them. They only have 61 subscribers. What I want to
Yeah.
make my podcast really proud about is bringing in all the people who thought their footage never would have been seen. On
All
June
artists created.
25th, yes, just an independent person, and they've only had a few viewers. Let's give them some more views. So
Yeah.
June 25th, 2005, we will be independently going through some of the images you guys will see tonight, but we're going to just play some things in the background and kind of give you guys a little bit of a realness of what it was. I mean, there are the sounds and sights you can hear of it's actually very, very old technology. So it drags extremely bad on this one. But, and that's what I found. That's the number one thing I've noticed immediately. We all recognize this beautiful spot right here. Isn't this the quarter beginning? They don't narrate it. They're just taking family videos. And this was 2 months before
Yeah,
Katrina happened.
it's like a historical street. It looks like
Right.
it's smaller, more narrow.
Looks kind of like
I think I slowed it down. So let me get it back to normal. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it looks like it's downtown.
But I got to tell you, do you guys remember the silver guy?
yeah.
He's featured in here, and I get so happy when I see him. I was like, yes! I love that hotel.
Yeah, that building's beautiful in real life.
I believe this is the hotel we keep talking about. Is that not the historic one on this corner? I think it may be the criminal lady we were talking about in other
Yeah,
views.
their
There's
building for sure. Oh, there's
St.
Jackson
Louis, is it
Square.
not? Is that
Yeah,
St.
that's the
Louis or not?
cathedral.
Yeah, that's St. Louis.
That's the
Cathedral.
one we mentioned with the statue on it that has the shadow at night. It's really interesting.
In this series, we will also be
Oh man,
featuring
I'm having
pandemic.
flashbacks. How beautiful!
Good. It's a good
It's
thing.
we-
That's
it's
what we want.
a
Good
weird feeling,
flashbacks.
man.
So we
If
were all
my-
just, we can just say we were
It's historical,
surviving.
beautiful.
I mean, you were a child, so you don't really know, but I can justify.
I remember this guy.
My mom.
Do you
We
remember
were
this
surviving.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of them actually. They're all over it.
It's so great. It's the voodoo culture. It's the boas. It's the masks. House of Voodoo. No, but in general, yes. Like Marie, I can't can't deny you've got a point there. We all have a different view of it, but literally they're good memories. I have the smells is what it is.
Oh,
The
that
smells
water. Look at that
changed.
water there. How it's just like, it so easily rises up all the time.
That isn't that the Natchez? I think it is.
Yeah. It's the river there,
The I
Mississippi.
hate that. I hate that bridge so much. Just makes me nervous. I'd rather the Huey P, which makes no sense when we're talking about nervousness. But yeah, I
It's
mean,
by the
so
beignet shop too, Cafe Dumont.
I mean, what are some of the favorite places you guys remember going to before the hurricane? Because the hurricane hit in the summertime. I remember that summer quite well.
Actually, I think you would have just started school again, huh?
No, I had just finished school. I was finally
Talking
done with. Oh yeah, go for it, please.
Yeah, one thing that sticks out to me was, well, my house, of course, but we can get into that in a second.
Please.
Things like this shop called Spitali's. It was a pulp shop. I
Yum.
think it was locally owned, and when we came back, it was completely destroyed, and they just kind of moved on, you know, or they weren't able to sustain their business. I'm not sure what happened, but I just wasn't able to walk down the street to that location. That's the only thing that really stuck out for me because I was young and I only had a certain domain.
The culture in New Orleans with dogs being openly everywhere, people don't understand. They may only know about the cats, but the dogs are a big time thing too. They're parades for the animals. They're welcomed at pretty much all the restaurants, at least on the outside porches, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. The smell of New Orleans is this is the period of times in my life where I was working and going out late at night and staying out as late as I could and, you know, enjoying the city and the smells and going to all over, you know, just enjoying the city. I didn't really go to clubs until much later. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I'd come back and visit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this street in general does give me happy vibes. The street that, what is it? It's St. Peter's. Isn't that St. Peter's? That runs off of the Cafe Dumont. This is the guy. Look at the silver guy, guys. He's so bomb.
Yeah.
I have so many pictures of him from the 90s. So many.
Definitely a work of art, you know.
Right.
How he can do it.
How did he survive with that stuff? Like that.
It's weird. Like it scared me as a kid. Like I would see him and I just couldn't believe that was a real person. Something's going on there. But I mean,
yeah, something's going on
like,
there.
like as an adult, I'm like, wow, this man's like talented and very like he has a lot of stamina.
I'll say restaurants were the thing at that time for me. Eating and spending hours with my friends just around a table eating, you know, even if we were just like, we go to Denny's, would we not for
see
hours?
All these random people with all these different types of clothing, like modern and old.
Right.
And I
That's
heard
exactly
one
New
time that or well, let's start
That's
with this
the gutter
Mardi Gras
punts
that I
before
had.
they were.
They had this guy walking down the street with some people behind him, and they were all following him, kind of in a weird way, like they were disoriented. And he had these like piercing red eyes, and it was weird. He looked like a vampire or something. And I was told by somebody that many of people that could be hundreds and hundreds of years old, they can fit in New Orleans and appear common.
Right.
I thought that was kind of spooky. So now I'm like, where's that guy at? Like, has he been here forever?
Right.
Probably.
I have some videos I'm going to try to feature tonight as well, visually for you guys, that are videos I took of the Bywater area too, once we get to that part of visual. But yes, let me see if this is a little bit more. So what is the first memory you guys have that you remember the news reporting to you, or the radio, either or, that there was a hurricane coming?
Storm.
Yeah.
Probably 3 days before, 4 days
Mhm.
before. We
High,
knew
low,
that
high, low.
we knew that the tropical storm was coming to us.
Mhm.
But it was not going to ruin our lives.
Like, we've had many tropical storms. It's
exactly.
not anything. And then,
I remember my family started to get a little anxious around like a category 3, and it was 5-3.
Cat 3. It had the possibilities of turning into one.
Yeah, at
Yep.
a certain point, my grandfather just kind of said, "Hey, we need to get out of here. I can feel like
Mhm.
something different about this one." And it was
hit
really
the panic
late.
button first and went over to Moma's house and said, "We got to get out of here." I just want to give pretense. I had a 4-month-old baby when Hurricane Katrina came, and I was a brand new parent, so I was very anxious. And I went over to my grandmother's house and started panicking. And then about 5 hours after that, they were leaving. So I went back and asked, "I'm coming too." And I had just had a car accident, so I didn't have a vehicle. And they did not have room for me and the baby. And they weren't going to be able to pay for us. And so I hit the panic button even more at that point.
Being out of town too, like if you didn't have money saved up, I think it was not, or
Good
like
point.
75% of Americans don't have $1,000 or $3,000 saved up, something like that. There's a statistic, but just the whole thing is not to say that you should or it's, I don't know, it's just necessary, because if there isn't a disaster, you're gonna end up like my family coming together just to make it,
Right.
just hardly.
I wonder
With
what they're
the
going to say.
expectation of it to become a Category 4 on Monday along the central Gulf Coast when it's expected to come ashore. So this is just quite a monster. You know, the Weather Channel, of course, here to keep you safe and keep you ahead of the storm as well.
Stephanie Abrams is in Gulf Shores, Alabama, monitoring preparations in that area.
Well, the sun is shining here in Gulf.
I must put in there that this was already the 27th, you guys.
Yeah,
and
this
we
was
already
2
saw
days before
flooding.
the storm.
This is already flooding in the street,
I'm having
viewers.
flashbacks because this is exactly
And-
what it felt like, just looking at them, and they're saying we think it could be something.
And they're smiling, and there's still people on the
You just
beach
don't
because
know
what
if
do we do?
It
We
rocks
have a
your world
party.
later.
We
It's
have a
weird.
party. Yes,
Shores,
yes.
Alabama,
Yeah, we have a
check
party.
out the Gulf of Mexico.
It's not
It
real
usually
yet.
looks like a lake out here, and I'm not kidding you, people. It usually looks like a lake.
Look, people
Very
are holding
quiet, very calm,
drinks.
but look at that surf, and it's
Of
actually
course
been picking
they
up in
are.
Oh,
intensity
yeah, I was-
as we've been heading throughout the
I
day
was body
today.
surfing
And
the
with that
waves
said,
in
we're
Florida when I
actually
And this is
under a
Alabama.
high-risk
This is
Right.
an Alabama
Huge.
news reporter.
All the way in Florida, they were huge.
Oh,
the
it
way
really took a second. Right.
they were
I
overwhelming.
honestly feel, let me
And where
predict it. Here we go.
My head.
Go ahead.
Tukey is
What'd you
talking
say?
about, they evacuated to Pensacola.
And the waves,
Gotcha.
I would
Here we
go
go.
out to the
Look
water.
at that. It says it moderate. Wow.
I think they were like 7-foot waves, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. But I would hit the ground underneath by the sand, and I would just show up on the shore. But sometimes they would take you out if you went too far.
Let's hear what they say. Can you guys mute yourself for a second? I'll unmute you. Okay.
What does the red flag mean? Here's the answer.
We're putting the red flags out. The surf has picked up quite a bit from, I suppose, from the hurricane since it's out there. So we're putting the red flags up. The city has a law. When they're up, there's nobody's allowed in the water on the public beaches. So we're putting those up to kind of help protect the public and keep people out of danger.
So with that surf kicking up, we're already kind of starting to feel the effects of Katrina. And we will, of course, see those conditions deteriorate as we head throughout the rest of the weekend. From Gulf Shores, Alabama, I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams.
Let's get right into the Gulf of Mexico, still tracking and monitoring the path of the progress and the strengthening of Hurricane Katrina. The yellow line shows its path. Came on shore from the
I am
Miami-Dade
shaking my
and Broward
head
County
over
line,
here.
just south of Fort Lauderdale, Monday evening, Thursday evening, around 6:30 p.m. Moved across the state throughout the night and into early Friday morning, moved back in the Gulf of Mexico, back over open water, and continued to strengthen. It was a Category 1 at landfall, weakened briefly for a few hours to a tropical storm, and then a Category 1 back over the Gulf waters, up to a Category 3 now, eventually turning to a Category 4 storm. And you can see over the last, say, 12 hours or so, our path has moved more towards the west and now kind of jogging just slightly north of due west. And this is the first signs of this storm turning on towards the north.
Don't you guys think that that is something we're so used to hearing as Louisiana residents? Okay, it moved a little. And we go, okay. And in 2 days, we're about to lose everything. Like, that's so common. And then, like, I found it here in the video. I'm going to bump it up a little bit for you guys. They're talking about temperatures. Let's see if it gets better here.
74-mile-per-hour wind gust in Marathon Key. 51-mile-per-hour wind gust. Again, here are the latest coordinates. If you're tracking this, we're expecting a 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time update coming up probably within the next hour. So probably around, say, 6:50 local time, we should have hopefully new coordinates and the strength. I wouldn't be surprised to see this number continue to go up throughout the night and definitely into your Sunday as well. Here's the path. This is what we're forecasting. Again, the turn to the north already slowly trying to happen. A little jog to the north over the last couple of hours. That will continue to turn more towards the north throughout the day on Sunday and Monday. Make landfall somewhere in the Gulf Coast. We're talking about from eastern Louisiana eastward, including you into the New Orleans area, across the coast of Mississippi and Alabama. The good news is Panama City looks like the direct landfall, well, shouldn't be a problem for you, but indirect effects still being felt all across the Gulf states, even the west coast of Florida in terms of rip currents right on through the weekend. Again, here's the bottom line. This is a serious storm, and it will continue to strengthen as we head over the next, say, 36 to 48 hours, making landfall sometime on Monday. And the impacts, again, not limited to the coast. We're talking about a lot of rain moving well across the southeast for
Don't you think that's just insane? Here we are. I mean, it's jolly the way that it's being explained. Am I wrong? I can't hear you guys. Oh, here we go.
Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, are you shaking your head? I'm shaking my head. Because I didn't do anything for a couple of days, like another day. And I didn't do it till 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, I started panicking probably on the 27th. But again, I was a new mom, so I just wanted to get out. I had no vehicle. I had been in an accident literally 3 days before. The estimator was coming to look at my car so where I could get another car, and Katrina happened. On the day I was supposed to have my estimator out. So my car went underwater, and I did get money for it eventually, but I mean, it was a mess, and I had this brand new baby. So my mom and Tukey and the rest of my mom's side of the family went out of town. So they were gone. And then I was back at my grandmother's house on my father's side, and he was out of town in Tampa at the time. So
nightmare.
Yeah, so I just knew at that point I had to get out, but my grandmother was not worried about it. She was not worried about it at all. I didn't get out until 10 p.m. We left her house, and she brought me and the baby to another person. I was able to get somebody in Diamond Head, Mississippi, and we were going to go stay over there because they were further inland, and it wasn't coming directly to them from what we had been. And so I got my grandmother to bring me to the east to take the Bay St. Louis Bridge. And the whole time that we were going over that bridge.
Hold on. Let's get the viewers. Let's just try to give them a taste of exactly what that means when you're talking about this bridge. I'm about to bring it up. Here it is. It's eye-opening for people to understand. And I actually never started even driving this thing until much later in my life after Katrina. So I'm not going to play the audio unless you think I should. But let me bring it back there. Come on now. Oh, really now? It took it away. All right, oh, there it is. They're not giving me a clear view here, but
anyway,
does that article have it too? Yeah.
We got to Diamond Head, where I thought was my refuge, but you kept watching the news. You can't help it because you don't know if it's going to take a turn. And around 2 a.m., we started realizing that we needed to get out of Diamond Head. The wind was getting a little crazy. The news was predicting it was going to get much worse. Lower, but on the other side of the interstate, south of I-10, it was already starting to flood severely, and we were pretty north, but we knew we were in trouble. So we started packing up then and went to Atlanta, but I knew when I got in Atlanta, I had nowhere to stay. That was just the ride, you know?
Right.
So
I'm going to pull up the visuals for people to understand of what it looks like when it started to make landfall and whatnot. We have worked really hard tonight to pull up so much content for you guys, just so you can get a visual as we discuss our stories. And we very much appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. And this is probably going to be possibly at least 7 episodes, and they'll be jam-packed with lots of information. Let's see here. This one. Here we go. What's at the top? Aftermath. Here we go. Predicted as well. Here we go. So what I understand, this video does show how the water was going to come over. Here we go. We can kind of see when it did.
what
Where's
I
that
will
other
say,
video?
Katrina definitely healed a lot of my father and my emotional problems at that time, because I did have to call on him for help to come and get me. And I was 17 when I got pregnant with my son, and I had plans to go to the Art Institute with you. And I had a whole future in front of me that didn't include the detour, and my father was none too happy about it. And having to reach to him for that definitely brought us back together from a previous falling out.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
grateful for that. But at the same time, I had lost all of my baby's stuff. I couldn't get back to it. When I did get back to it, it was all ruined. You know, it was basically throwing away molded things that I had just gotten, you know?
Exactly. I was at that baby shower with you. I remember it quite literally. I mean, your
And
son was so
folks, they don't
tiny.
throw you a baby shower twice.
Yeah, they don't. And when you can barely even afford to have a place to live at the time, much less a car, much less start all over with the normal
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Like, I think people
It
don't
took away-
understand.
It
The
really
pandemic really was a second nature feeling of it all for me recently,
Well,
because of the
Susie
fact
Drew had the pandemic and then Hurricane Ida back to
all
back.
at the same time. Then you understand what I'm saying. Like, it enables that feeling of like a toilet paper roll is so important, just like a shower. Like, people don't understand that unless you've been in a hurricane, or like
Yeah, I
you
was
said, your
back in the,
grandmother. Look
I
at
was
look at
back in
the
shelves in
look
the
at the
back.
military going over. Oh, what does he have
We
to
would
say?
fill it,
There's
and
no way
overnight
anyone
it'd
could
be
have
empty.
calculated what level of dynamite to have the kind of impact to save the French.
He's saying
An
that
LSU
they
expert who
didn't
looked at the video today says
blow
while
up
the barge may have caused it,
the
it was most
barge.
likely the sheer
We
force
will
of the
be
water that brought the
going
levee along the lower
over
Ninth Ward down.
content in the
David Cook,
future
ABC News,
that
St.
says
Louis.
otherwise. I even found people that have videos of it, which is interesting. I don't know how. I mean, the videos are 17 years old, so
We all
I
knew
mean,
at that point it was time to evacuate. And
right.
the city was issuing mandatory evacuations, and maybe this
That's
is a
right.
good time to pull up that interview. There were people
Mhm.
that, like myself, I luckily had enough resources at the time to not have to go to the Superdome, but my car was broken.
That's right.
I was at the mercy of And the thing was, is it was so unexpected. I mean, I had control on things.
Here we
I
go.
had a job. I had, my baby was in daycare. Things were going really well. I had my car. I just so happened to get into a wreck right then. And it's like, it really humbles you when you have to get out. If you could pull
That's
up
right.
that video of the people that unfortunately chose.
Hold on one
They
second.
opened up the
I was trying to bring the
Superdome at noon,
contraflow.
the
Yep.
day before the hurricane made landfall, which the hurricane made landfall at
Here we
6 a.m.
go.
And
That's
so
right.
that's the eye. And I don't know how many of our viewers are actually aware of how hurricanes work, but the eye is the center of the storm. And so you
Sometimes the
start.
calmest. but
Sorry.
it's weird.
So depending on
That's
what
a
side
weird
of the
topic.
storm, is larger at the time. If you'll actually look at the picture of Katrina right there, you can see we were facing.
It's mega huge.
We were facing a huge situation, and so it really started making bands into the city at about noon. It was you had, it would have bands of rain, and then you wouldn't, and that's because that's the outer bands of the storm.
It lasted.
This is the night. This is into the night they were trying to get them into the building. Up until the actual
Man,
hit. Here we
the
go.
Actually,
Look
I
at
think
this
this is
crap.
a really
Man,
good
man.
video.
You want me to start it back over? I do too.
Something
Can
like
we
a
please-
tsunami, like all these people
We're gonna.
work and everything that
Yeah, I
they
think
ever
that we
owned
should take this
was
time and
wet.
listen. So this is what we're hearing on the news. All
This
of our
this is what they're
stuff.
telling all the civilians, all the people,
This is
everybody. This is the guy broadcasting to tell us all to be calm. Okay. And I feel like the people who are in
Calm
line
as you can.
also paint a very good picture of how calm they were.
Yes.
Don't you agree? Thank
Like,
you.
yeah.
We're gonna mute
Just feel like
ourselves
a
and just
disaster.
digest this 2-minute long video that does need some, and I'll be bringing up more. So thank you so much for helping me narrate this tonight.
Still lines at the Superdome, people trying to get inside, although they tell me now the lines have pretty much gone down to 0 right now. But within the last hour, still several hundred people lined up trying to get inside the Superdome. We were told by some people waiting in line they'd been sitting there for over 4 hours trying to get inside. There is security procedures for people to make sure that no one goes in with contraband or any kind of weapon. So they are screening people as they went through. And it was kind of interesting because we heard the National Guard soldiers, the troopsmen, walk up and down the aisle calling for women and children. They were bringing the women and children inside the Superdome first. They tell me they did that because they wanted to get them out of the elements. It is kind of drizzling there. They want to get them inside as soon as possible. Estimates show that there's about 15,000 people inside the Superdome right now. Now, earlier today, they had warned there was not enough supplies for evacuees, from what I understand, but the National Guard came in and brought in food and water for the people at the Superdome. So there are now over 360,000 MREs for people inside the shelter.
So people weren't bringing the things that they asked them to bring.
Well, I think people were bringing what they could, but the Superdome and the director of health felt more comfortable if maybe there was actually some supplies there. A lot of nervous people, of course, saying that they wanted to get somewhere safe. They didn't have a car. They didn't.
Did you hear what he said? I don't know.
Yes, I did.
But there's a few things I want to tap into here.
Please.
And as somebody from the city, you've got to tap into what's underneath. So the key words were, first, they do not have enough supplies for all of these people, but they're bringing in 360,000 MREs.
Correct.
We're talking, they have to be able to feed the people that come in after. Okay, so they didn't release all of that. They said point blank, we don't have enough to feed everyone. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, I don't know if you heard, but as he was saying that people were bringing what they could, the gentleman in the back said they're not listening. They were telling you to be able to feed yourself. And these people were evacuating their homes, and they had what they had.
That's right.
Down the street.
And as we move forward, it's really the city not taking care of its people. This is new.
Oh, well said.
And if you look in the crowd, this was probably the 6 o'clock news, if I had to guess. There's already bands of this storm, and these people have been waiting outside.
And they're covered. They were soaked. You'll hear
they're
that.
already having bands. So do you know how many people are going to be sick in this
Yep.
closed in facility.
That's right.
Go ahead. Sorry, I
Okay.
made you pause.
No, you're great.
They didn't have a way to get out of town. They know it's the shelter of last resort, but for them, it was pretty much their first choice. And so we have on tape, actually, an interview I had with this one woman who is originally from Houston, now lives in Gretna, I believe, and she was considering staying at home, but her mother called and saw the news in Houston and Texas and kind of pushed her to move to the Superdome, and so that's what she did. We can hear from her right now, hopefully. How long have you been waiting out here?
I've been out here for 3 hours.
Are you serious? 3 hours?
3 hours, and we're soaking wet.
What do you think about this?
It's horrible.
Why do you say that?
Because all these families in need, and then here we out here waiting all this time, getting soaking wet. That's bad.
Why did you decide to come out here?
Because we had no other way. I was in a car accident. My car is ruined, so this is the only best way I can get into a shelter. My house was too deep in water.
I'm just gonna stop real quick. She lying. She was never from Houston. You don't hear her accent.
She lived in Houston, but she
That's
was stuck in her city.
Baby.
Right?
She's from New Orleans, if I ever heard it. I mean, the second that you get into it, you can really let it go.
Right. I have another one
ahead,
that's a lot more. No, I think this is the end of it, but I have another one that's a little more rough, I believe, too. We will be.
Okay.
I want to bring up I want to give you guys a visual of what the water started to look for people, just normal. I think it's a good video for us to like bounce back to in a second.
That's why.
Okay.
Still
Hold on a second. Still lines.
But I'm
Hold on a
not gonna
second.
lie to the viewers. I'm gonna call it like I see it. She from New Orleans.
Right.
She's at the
Okay.
Superdome.
Okay, we're gonna watch this and we're gonna get all the way to the end of his rap, and then we're gonna go to the funny guy. You got it, guys? Because I think it's marvelous. It's marvelous. Okay, and I will be sharing my story. We'll all be sharing our story along the way, because this is what it was for everyone in their own experience. It's real. Okay, here we go.
I was there. Storms like Hurricane Katrina, historically are rare. I was there. But we stood in very long lines. It was a desperate time. Can't let them forget. That's why I wrote these rhymes. A bottle of hot water. A ride almost started. Shoved and pushed forward. Over food. A shortage. Backed up. Bathrooms and toilets drank. Contaminated water out of the faucet. Look up. What the? Locked up. Asked a member of the National Guard. I said, why are we being held as prisoners of war? He responded, following orders, martial law. Understand, it felt more like Afghanistan and Iraq and not New Orleans. There were heroes of the storm and those of them that went too far. Pray for them, they too bear scars. Thank the Lord for the Air Force and the Coast Guard that flew helicopter and rescue missions nonstop. Got people and pets off of porches and rooftops. You may or may not even care. I was there.
Yes. Yes. We were there. Hold on a moment. I want to pull up another video.
Spoke his mind.
Isn't that beautiful? Okay, hold on a second. Let's we're going to go over to some raw footage from the window. I hope the hell I can find it. I just lost it for a second. Sorry guys, give me a moment. Just had it. Eddie. Really now. Come on, part 1 maybe? Here it is. Hang on a second. This might be it. Maybe not. I mean, where is this it? This is it. I found it. Finally. I'm sorry. Here we go. Share. This video made me laugh, made me cry, made me scared for them. I can't imagine. Hope you guys enjoy us sharing this tonight. Tomorrow.
Girl, I'm tripping. What the fuck that was on me? I'm tripped out off them calls over there. got people in their window over there. It's up over the first floor. It's on the second. That's up to the second floor in the Hidden Lake Park.
Damn, look at the roof on that motherfucker.
I cracked the fuck up when he said that.
Look at the structure.
That was Bryce.
He's great. I love this
This
man.
is the streets of New Orleans.
Lake Kenilworth.
120-mile-hour winds. If you really can look at how fast the winds are blowing, I really can't supposed to be out here in these kind of winds and these kind of conditions.
He's holding on for dear life.
As you can see,
Having the worst moment.
Isn't that funny? Oh my God, it's funny.
We're gonna die around here. Yes, we have 100-mile-hour winds. Look at all our debris we have flying. It is not hectic out here. This used to be a street.
It's so true.
Now a lake.
It's now a lake.
Park.
We have nothing but vehicles in the parking lot. It's underwater. So if anybody get this message,
Just look at my rope. Look at my rope. Get off my rope. Get off my rope.
She's yelling at Katrina.
This is a motherfucker shame. Katrina tore my roof apart.
Well,
What if he? God damn. Yeah, I see a grill. I see somebody's living room set. I see somebody's big screen TV. I see somebody ties from their vehicle. Some of them are bitches. Still underwater.
Be like, I'm hot.
Mom, don't fuss with Keith. Now he got over there, you got here. Now you lay there.
Some of my bitches.
We have a few people.
So you gonna make him move? You get over on that side. Get over there.
To the window.
No, you ain't.
This is how we keep our spirit, guys. You got to understand New Orleans. This is
I got
it.
him on beam right now. He don't know it, but he on candy camera.
This box is inside, but not that quick.
I think this is a
Mom,
term
y'all
called
think I can tell my
Josin.
footage stuff?
They Josin.
Look, it's showing clear.
Making the best of
Josin, the Josin. Look at the neighbors, and he's like, look, he's like, you better be careful.
Damage.
So funny. It's so good though. It's so true. It's real.
Shit, that dumpster is jacked up high off the ground.
Riverside.
So that's a really good one. I was like, wow, what a good, that's how we all were thinking at the time. We were laughing when we didn't know what was going to happen. 100%. 100%. So, I mean, here we go. We're going to go back to honestly, I haven't really thrown it out there yet, but let me pull this back up here. Because I started even deciding to leave about when we're going to look at this. Let me pull this up. This is a really good overhead of how the water started filling up. And so far, if anybody's having problems with the audio, let us know. It could very well be the audio we're reviewing, though, so bear with us. But let us know in the comments. And we thank you, Father Time, for showing up tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. So this video right here is in reference to the Lake Pontchartrain and how things started to happen. I think it's so well done. Again, it's unfortunate how little of I think it starts here. Yes. How little of views and whatnot. So I will be linking all these people below at the end of the podcast. So let's enjoy this one.
It's amazing, even to New Orleanians, how big a part of this area flooded and how fast.
At 4:30 in the morning, an hour and a half before Katrina made landfall, the first two breaches occurred in the levee system down at the CSX Railroad on either side of the Industrial Canal. That's the bridge in the distance, initiating the flooding of Greater New Orleans. St. Bernard Parish experienced the worst flooding at 5:30 in the morning. Watch how that front of water just shoots in. This flooded in the space of 3 hours.
The water came from the intersection of the Intercoastal Waterway and Mr. Go, and it came down here and into the Industrial Canal and then over the top of the flood wall in the Industrial Canal and into the lower Ninth Ward.
At 6:30 a.m., a large section of the 17th Street Canal flood wall began breaching, a process that continued for the next 2 hours. It literally slid 60 feet backwards and collapsed.
As a result, a 10-foot wall of water was shot into the city, destroying many of the houses in the immediate vicinity of the breach. At 7:45 in the morning, just as the surge was peaking in this canal, two massive breaches occurred in the flood wall behind me, sending an 18-foot high wall of water into the lower Ninth Ward.
It was instantaneous. The water came in there, it piled up, it got so high it came over the top, it carved this gap behind the flood wall along the Industrial Canal, and eventually wound up shoving it aside like a battalion of bulldozers.
Totally destroying the first 5 rows of homes, and even some homes 9 blocks back were floated off their foundations. It's here that we had the greatest number of people killed due to drowning during Katrina. At 8:15 a.m., the embankment at the foot of the Orleans Canal is overtopped and floods City Park for about 3 hours.
At 8:30, a 1-mile stretch of levee behind the lakefront airport that's 2 feet lower than the adjacent earthen levee is overtopped with surge coming from Lake Pontchartrain. The flooding lasts for about 3 hours.
At 9 a.m., the storm surge from Lake Pontchartrain peaks in the 3 drainage canals in the Orleans Metro Bowl with no overtopping of the lakefront levees. At 9:30 a.m., the breach here in the London Avenue at Mirabeau occurred. You can see it's marked here by the white rocks. The flood wall fell into a huge hole that had been scoured out behind it, sending a wall of water about 12 foot high into the homes, totally destroying the first line of homes and adding to the catastrophic flooding of this part of Greater New Orleans.
The London Avenue Canal breached and the entire neighborhood flooded between 11 and 13 feet of water.
That straight ahead is the London Outfall Canal. Over there is the greatest break of the levee. Now, there's a huge chunk of concrete. You can imagine the force that blew away concrete. If we had
Concrete. Was that the only thing they used? Why didn't it have reinforcement? What? And as far as I know, didn't they repair it to the exact same? Even though we're jumping ahead with the story here, have you ever seen it up close, either of you, since it's been fixed?
Seen what up close?
This, where it breached. Any of the levees that breached.
Yeah,
Have you?
Yeah, I lived right there.
Really?
Yeah. That was my favorite area, the lakefront. The first place to get.
That's pretty depressing.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful stretch. And there's numerous multi-million-dollar housings that are right there.
Yeah, but now some of them haven't come back. It's just plots of land.
We're going to be actually viewing some of those abandoned areas in the future. I've been looking into quite a bit of content on it. And it's pretty disturbing how many actually people are living in
supposedly
these
they
houses.
reinforce the levees to handle that type of surge next time.
Unless it was like the lower Ninth Ward, I feel like you can't really.
It's not even the wind either. It's literally that the water comes like a tidal wave, like a tsunami on a small scale, I guess, or a medium scale. And it comes down the canal and it turns into like a pressure valve and it has to push out. And it's tons and tons of pounds of pressure. and it's like a surge is what they call it.
It says, here we go. I thought it said something else. Let's see what we got here.
That front door to try to get out. I can't swim a lick.
At 10:30 in the morning, the last of the major breaches in the New Orleans levee system occurred here,
This is
area
so
that's
scary.
marked by the white rocks and the shiny new wall. And these floodwaters then flowed into the areas that were already flooding from the 17th Street Canal, ensuring the total devastation of this portion of New Orleans. You can see how these fronts of water just expand and join up with each other. And what's very important is there's some natural ridges in the city.
Stuff on top
And
of
that
us.
held up the
Yeah, I got get on the
coming
table.
into the main downtown area.
Well, if it does hit, like reduces
Now
it,
you
or
will
if it's
see-
small, it's bouncing.
So when I was reviewing this particular video, out of all of the other Katrina videos, this one right here, approximately right here, made me think we personally experienced in Louisiana a ground version of what Titanic was like. Literally 13 feet, and it happened in hours.
Yes.
How many people just panicked on the Titanic and went down? How many people did try to survive, just
You
like
know, I
these
was
people
thinking
here?
that, like, okay, 10 feet of a surge wave hitting your house and just crushing your
6
complete
is
house.
scary.
Imagine
But 10 is
just laying in
fucking
your bed
scary.
and look at the news, like you just
Right.
saw it another day, or imagine even ancient times. Like I couldn't imagine.
Absolutely.
Like it's all right. I'm just hanging out. I do my garden and stuff. I go in for tonight. I can smell
Right.
the humidity in the air change. It's
Right.
all right, it might rain.
Right.
And then
Actually,
10 feet of
it-
water slams your house.
Isn't it pretty the day before a hurricane? We all can agree. It
It's
always
terrible.
is gorgeous the day
What?
before a great hurricane.
Oh yeah, it's surreal. It almost feels like the energy in the it does. That whole atmosphere
Hmm. Yep, the pressure changes. I feel like the sun is
weird.
even brighter than ever. The grass looks greener because the UVs are stronger because the clouds are changing. Telling
Think
you,
about how
I have totally felt that.
important all these little small things are.
Right. I think it's important for us, honestly, guys, to really keep in mind, all of you listening, that the story should be told again, piece by piece. If the true
everybody
crime,
has their story here.
right, and if
Right.
the true crime community can tell a case over and over, why can't we talk about natural disasters and really piece together how everybody
A lot of
handled it?
people lost their lives here or were
Trauma's real.
Yeah,
Yep.
trauma was dealt, and a lot of
Right.
people lost. Well, the thing is the projects and things changed.
Water really.
And just ownership of property changed. I'm not exactly sure how it worked, but eventually
Mhm.
you come back to your house or the property value.
We're gonna be
changed. Yeah,
we're going to be
to
touching
cover
on
that.
some of that too, because a lot of people didn't have contracts, and when they came back,
Your
the
house is just
FEMA,
gone, like
well, you
can't
couldn't
come
get
back.
help. Even if you didn't
Yeah,
have
no
insurance,
help. You
FEMA wasn't
got
going to
to
help
leave.
you. You needed papers to even come back for the police to allow you in your neighborhood.
Yeah,
It
and
was
knew
really a fine
where
line.
where your house was.
That's right. This next part of the video, actually, I don't know if this is the good one. Hold on a second here.
That's terrible, man. Like it
So this
probably
model run
crazy.
had how we sunk Orleans Parish, a large part of New Orleans, in 24 hours.
They did. I'm telling you, this is the Titanic of land. Tell me it isn't. It's Atlantis again. We are an American Atlantis. Literally, it stole our culture. We didn't come back to the same smells. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this one real quick. So when initially, I think this is what we want to go to. This is 11 minutes, or do we want to go to this cool dude here? Let me see. Not him. So initially, when I found out about the hurricane, it was the day before, it was 27th. I was I was like trying to wait for a paycheck at that time, and I hadn't gotten paid yet, so I didn't have like any money financially to leave. And so, like you were saying that earlier, it's very true. I was like feeling like, well, I just can't afford to leave. I'll just stay here. My grandmother at the time, who I was living with, was like, maybe you should leave. No, maybe you shouldn't leave. And then by the end of it, which is like, I don't know, a couple of days into, wasn't it the actual 29th when the hurricane hit? But the 28th is when we all left, correct? Most of us evacuated 28th. When did you evacuate exactly?
I should have looked back at it, but I'm not exactly sure the date. I just left. School was closed, and there was just a big evacuation. We sat in traffic forever. People got out of their cars and gathered in groups and talked and discussed things. It was weird.
So I'm going to put this on the screen and try to help so I'm not so distracted. I'm sorry, you guys.
You didn't have
I've
enough.
got so many videos.
Likely going to break down. I could imagine that too.
Well, okay, so this is a video. The audio is fantastic too if you want to hear an engine trying to die. But this is a neighborhood that we grew up in. I believe this is Kenner Metairie. Yeah, Metairie, but he goes all the way to West Metairie. I know that. And not West Metairie, Williams Boulevard. So Kenner. So we're going to just watch this while I try to explain to the best of my ability. When I first heard about it, I heard it on the radio, and it was just it wasn't one of those actual broadcasters. Tell me if you guys know exactly where he's driving, because I couldn't quite recognize these houses. I wanted to. I couldn't. The trees were intense. The apartment buildings are intense. And these signs, this is so old technology. But if the moss and everything, that's what I miss about New Orleans in general. And I love rain like this, so it's hard for me because, you know, even with a storm, unless they're really telling you to leave, which at that time I'd never really grew up with it too much. I lived in Colorado. I didn't really know if I was ever going to need that kind of skill, like, and money on the side, like you were saying. It's a very good freaking point. I don't know. He gets stuck.
It's a lot of folks.
Look at those beautiful freaking trees, man. And they get destroyed more and more and more, and that's such
It's
time.
weird how an oak is kind of mystical too. So it's like
it is mystical. You're right.
It's like a weird kind of eerie feeling sometimes.
It does.
It's New Orleans. It's just.
It is New Orleans.
It is.
The history of how many people touched those trees. How many people tied their horse up to those trees. That's what I think about.
You know what else I want to shout out to? I was building docks offshore. Personally for some people that had like the islands I was talking to you about, or everyone about, and what I wanted to mention was there were a lot of legendary spots that people would bring their boats or fishing spots or just land that I guess the locals spent most of their time as children. The point is, or made their living.
Yeah.
The point is that was gone. Like every camp, all the stuff that they did as children, it was washed away. And yeah, all the land was displaced. And every time a major hurricane comes, all the hard work and blood and sweat is...
in history.
Yeah,
history gets affected.
It was the culture for me, so I did it pretty much as a volunteer to save our coast, and it was it was hammered down.
Is this? What is this street, guys? What is this street? Oh, that is the street. Every Shell station, we should know this, guys.
This one, could this be I think this might be Old Metairie.
That's what I thought at first, Old Metairie, but he goes towards, so would he be coming from that direction to go to Williams? Would that make sense? I don't feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, Williams is far from there, but it is in the same direction, I believe.
I think he puts it on the screen.
This is like New Orleans. And
now look, everybody, he's on the opposite side of the road. I want everybody to pay.
I really can't see.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Like I can't wait.
That looks familiar. That little clock.
That is Old Metairie.
Is it Old Metairie? Sure. Okay. Which don't we all know?
The hurricane's kind of messing up my ability. Like
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That does.
Here, I can put it on slow mode.
And this was also during Katrina. I was so young.
That's a good point.
Or like different stores, like the Papa John's.
That's a good point. Let's see. We're going to slow this down to that. That's better. A little bit more, maybe. I like those slow-mos in
I
the
know
rain
what the
now.
lakefront looks like. This isn't the lakefront.
No, but then he turns somewhere here, and I recognize that building, too. This is what I think was West
Is this
Metairie, but I
Bonnable?
might be wrong. I don't know. Maybe. It feels like Kenner to me, but he says Metairie.
I'm going to drive down these
as we
streets
all...
and record it for like another podcast.
Thank you. No, I want to do that because that's, I
Just
think,
so we can
important
see
for all
how
of us.
things have changed, too. That's interesting.
I have a lot of videos from 10 years ago, so I will be able to share the French Quarter and the Marigny and all of that.
Great.
I have a lot of home videos where they fixed
Because
them
the
up and
city
it was
has changed so
gentrified.
much over time, too.
Yes.
That's the crazy part. Like, now that we're
Exactly.
looking into it, it's like, wow, that really... That really has.
Now, I saw these flooding moments where, you know, it's the water and the whatever. We haven't seen power lines yet. I haven't seen generators blow yet. And I haven't been able to find any videos from Katrina time where generators were blowing. So tell me about that one.
There's no trees down.
Right.
Like, I'm confused about because
but this is
on
early.
my street there were major trees down. Oh, okay.
So wouldn't it, you guys agree that in a hurricane, and especially Katrina, how it came, it slowly came at you. Sorry, it's good that we have it on quiet. When a hurricane comes, the sky turns a different color, even if it was technically daylight. And then you get big downpours, and then it stops for a second, and then it goes crazy, and then it never stops for days.
Yeah,
this feels like West Esplanade. I don't know, though.
No, that's not West Esplanade for sure.
Oh, my gosh. It's those houses. They confuse me.
It has a canal.
Oh, yay. We have a Monroe. I used to live on West Bank back in the 90s. Welcome, Monroe. In the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's
there's some bushes right there from the trees, or like branches. See, it can just that's minor though. I'm kind of surprised.
You should see how bad the water gets. We're about to enjoy that moment. I'm gonna put it back to normal speed unless you guys like this speed better. I kind of think this is better. I can move it up a little. I don't think we should. Look how bad. And this man, let's listen to it. I'm gonna mute myself. It looks like Kenner. Thank you. I appreciate. We're gonna figure this one out. I have so much from this amazing guy. He really took some time. It might be. I don't know. Okay, let's go back to the fun stuff here. I'm gonna make the video a little bit faster. I think he gets scared here. Oh, well, that's not gonna sound good. Hold on, guys. So, okay, when I started hearing it on the news, like I said, I wrote it off. I didn't leave until I think the 28th. And I believe what that was about when I was like, oh shit, because they said, you have, I'm going to look for the Ray Nagin interview because I think he is the reason I left. Because he's like, if you can leave, you should leave. Here we go. You're going to hear him start getting a little uncomfortable the farther he gets, which is quite interesting. I believe it was about here. You know, there's nobody else on the street. If you don't know, if you're not an actual
these little medians
city
here, like,
employee, really.
On the neutral ground.
I know. Why didn't he do that? But maybe he didn't want his tires to go.
Well, yeah, like
I don't
that
think there's
left
sprinkler
right there.
systems.
Like right now, he's Mike. Yeah.
Good old Nagin. Thank you.
Oh no, he took the U-turn.
Hey, if you know some Monroe, if you know any good footage, this is absolutely, I know these ramps like the back of my hand. Oh my God, racing days. Monroe, if you happen to have any good footage, send it to my email. I would love to showcase anything. But yeah, and this is normal speed. You know, that's when you don't accelerate too much. You let your car get in it, but you don't let it stall because that's when you get waterlogged. It's never good.
You don't want water.
And I was driving a Corolla, a front wheel drive,
I know, right?
nothing
I'm
exciting.
having flashbacks too.
Right. Okay. So these are the moments where we're like, hey, we got this. We can get through it. If you have I don't know, some kind of a Jeep off the ground, which is always smart to raise your cars. In Louisiana, not for fashion, but look at, this is where he's like, okay, I made a bad decision. I love this part because this is true. You're literally, I thought he probably planned to walk away. Like, why would you go take your camera? But this man, if we look at it's Storm Chasers. Everybody go subscribe to these people.
Oh my gosh, that water, man. It's like,
Man, look
what?
at him try
He
to
turns
turn
around.
around. Listen
Oh
to
wait,
his
is this Lake Front?
gears.
Wait,
This
what
is,
is
I don't
this?
know. That's what I'm saying, man. I can't tell. I
What
think
the
he's
fuck
at,
is this, man?
it's
I'm
intense,
so
man.
lady. I'm so confused.
Don't you want to jump in that cold, nasty water? No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, you don't, probably.
No, you don't. But this is exactly what I would have been a sissy bitch to handle this kind of crap. No way. No way. Fuck. I decided to start packing up, but I only had like a little bit of clothes. So I just like packed a little, had a dog. So I was like, all right, I'll try to book a hotel. Called around to Pasadena. Texas was the only place that had available motels that would take a dog. Look at this part. Look at this. Listen to his wipers. Look at how shitty they are. You know he was ready to leave his fucking car.
He
Look
abandoned
at the cars
his
in the
dog,
background.
starts swimming. It's
No, I'm
terrible.
serious. You see those arrows
It's
down?
really
That's
scary,
an omen,
like-
bitch. It is very scary. You can't let your car. He's stalling too long, in my opinion. I'm seriously like, no, bitch.
Yeah,
turn
it'll
the-
get into his exhaust.
I mean,
into
you
his-
really needed a friend to be there pushing while you're pushing. I mean,
and
I'm
there's
saying.
also the air intake in the front and the battery.
It's not
It gets
dangerous.
up to your battery. The car.
Look, he's got some good fucking skills. Look at this man did it. And then he takes a breather. Watch, take it in. I love this. This is a reaction video, but it's facts. How it looked before it actually truly was insane. This is early. Like, you know, it kept flooding. Once it actually broke, it kept flooding. Wasn't like, all right, hurricane's over. Everybody go home. Have some favors on the way out. Yeah, back the fuck up.
He looks like he's unbonnable.
Is it?
Or
Smart.
in New Orleans.
Not very.
somewhere.
You're right about that. You
Uptown.
see him move his camera. He's like, maybe I can drive up on the. You could put one
The
wheel
red
higher, get your
brick.
exhaust off.
There's a lot of places where there's red brick walls.
This is where you're gonna laugh. He actually does it. This man's got skills, brah. He actually gets out. I was
Look
like
for the street
impressed.
signs.
Good point. What do we got here? Oh man, I'll have to zoom
Yeah,
in later. I
work
can't
out
see
bad
it.
for sure.
But I am going to contact this amazing person. I mean, the thing is that I do want to bring highlights to other people's raw footage. So, I mean, the guy who is hold on, let's see if it's this one. This is the next one we're going to bring up in a second. His story's fantastic. It's worth it. I ended up taking it was like a day. Maybe it took 14 hours to get to, sorry guys. 14 hours to get to Pasadena, Texas with contraflow. Backwards. I'll be right back, guys.
It's just wild. And honestly, those were the beginning. So we knew we were in trouble. It was definitely a memory you won't forget. But a few other hurricanes have actually come since then. And I mean, we've all kind of, well, I know definitely me and Dookie grew up, grown up with hurricanes. And honestly, how many times can you remember going down roads like this with me after the hurricane?
Yeah, it was wild when the floods would happen. But just having the retail stores closed for so many days, like, even if you could come back to the city, if you work at the mall, it's closed for months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no be had.
And guess what? Your bills, they still want to be paid.
And
now
I heard this crazy thing too about the city after the hurricane. There was a lot of flour going around, and it was contaminated. Like it was flooded,
moldy.
Yes. You would get mold.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they had people they had something sitting at the house, like they were saying you couldn't bring contraband into the Superdome.
I thought that was interesting. Like, what a... okay.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine
we're
what
going to be
was left
reviewing
behind?
some people's videos that
And
are a little bit harder, that tell a little bit more of the truth. those are the people that were in the Superdome. I feel like even if their family members recorded how bad it was, I think it's important. Now, this man, look at him. He's thinking higher ground. Who else agrees in the chat? And this is just these shops. I don't know why my brain can't connect where it's at. He's like, why would I? This feels like it's going towards rallies and stuff. Is that rallies over there? This is going towards West End. That's 100% West Esplanade. Was that West Esplanade? Maybe it was. I don't know.
They paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app.
I was like, somebody paid $1,000. Yeah, there are a few docs on
I was
HBO.
like,
You're absolutely right.
No,
I was like, I would not pay $1,000. I had an air mattress after Katrina. Okay. No. Okay. Let's see here. So, and I ended up going to Pasadena, Texas for a little while. And then I was in Lumberton, Texas for a little while with my aunt who took me in after I was in a hotel for a while for like 3 days. Let's get back to that one particular video. Let me see, because I think his story really does explain quite a bit. And he really just walks us through what the terror of the reality of everything was. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I really appreciate all the comments. How are you guys doing? Let's see here. All right, let's go here. There. All right.
My name is Shelton Alexander, and I was in the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina. For the first time I heard about Hurricane Katrina, I was here in the parish. I was in Violet. I was at home. Gusting winds, maybe up to 200 miles per hour. Me and Cussy, two of the last people probably left on the block. We got one neighbor that's Stan, and a few more that's Scary Man. I was thinking about Stan. I'm gonna go and ask my auntie, do she wanna leave? I hope she do, man, because if she don't, man, I'm like ready to go. When we finally made the decision to leave, we drive, and then all of a sudden, we get to like Airline Highway and the traffic backed up, and we didn't move for like a few hours. And at that point, I was like, I don't want to run out of gas right here. And I said, we have to, we'll go to the Superdome. I knew that was an option, like, you know, and I was like, if anything, it'll be maybe 2 days in the dome or something, it'll blow over. The National Guardsman, he told me to park like right behind the Superdome. We finally got into the line, and it took a long time because they searched every individual person, top and bottom. All the people waiting to get inside the Superdome. For me, I had like a big duffel bag along with some clothing, you know, some jeans, some different camera tapes and stuff like that. And as far as the camera's concerned, you know, being a poet and an artist traveling, like I was recording myself and I was filming stuff. So and I was like, well, we go to the Superdome. I just want to record that experience as well.
Isn't that incredible? I'm so glad this man snuck his shit in. Because, you know, that could have been robbed. You know, he got that shit out. He didn't get his car keys. We're about to learn in a moment. I appreciate you, Monroe, for being in the chat. We are just kind of bouncing around and telling the story with the best we can. And we appreciate all your comments tonight.
That was that Sunday when we arrived at the Superdome. We got settled in, and then early that Monday morning, all of a sudden, I just hear some kind of like loud sound, like boom. Then you hear some rumbling, like brr. Then the rumbling just get like boom. It didn't take long while It was starting to bat and beat on top of the dome. But from that point, you can see the water starting to slowly seep in. And then the hole got bigger. And then it got bigger. And then the water just started coming in and pouring in. And then it wasn't one hole. Then another hole opened up. Oh, that water starting to mash them over there now. He was like, man, what is going on? This must be serious. Like, if the water getting inside the dome, they making us go move here, move there. People starting to panic. It went from feeling safe to like unsafe all at the same time. But it really wasn't high anxiety for the people just yet. I think the anxiety was more concern for the outside. We didn't know what was going on, but by that Tuesday, same kind of thing. They had a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff started happening. Now people starting, with the food, and the food started coming up short. But we didn't really. All we heard was about, the levee breaching, because they didn't want to let us out. Just feeling that anxiety of being, now you feel like you're a prisoner now. Now you locked in. Like, what you mean I can't leave? Like, this not a war, and why am I stuck here? A lot of different things happened, inside the dome. It just got real crazy. The smell was really, really horrific. You're talking like after the first day, the toilets was already backed up. And not having, drinking water and all that other stuff was just kind of like real, real bad. I watched a lot of people suffer. I seen people like unattended, elders like just sitting in place for like days at a time, not moving. It was hot. It was super hot. Everybody was walking around with t-shirts on. Some women in their bras, just like it didn't make a difference. It was hot. Almost had a ride behind the food, people.
Ooh,
some people
they were setting the food up.
Right.
And like when things got real, real intense, and we seen a shot fired. Everybody was like ducking. Like, we know what gunshots sound like in New Orleans. Maybe you're not gonna see a bunch of reports of it, but I will tell you that's something I witnessed. I didn't witness the whole commotion.
Imagine
All I
not
witnessed was
friends with people and you had to meet up with them at a public spot.
I can't even
It's
imagine
like a crisis.
being stuck in a building. What you're going to hear in the next few seconds is incredible, because this video just paints out what it smelt like after the bullets and all the bullshit. Like, it wasn't just killings. There was just feces, death, all of it real. And literally people were, if you think about it, what he just said is that people were
being locked in. They was locked in. They wasn't letting you out.
Literally, there wasn't a place to drink water. It was only coming from the ceiling. There's no place to shit. If you were literally walking around in your bra, you're a predator to some psychopath too, who probably snuck shit through his ass. I'm just saying.
I mean, their whole family's probably next to them. Oh, and they're not gonna let you get stepped on. I promise. Like in the city, I mean, there's a lot of crime.
Everything in a bowl. Yep.
They're not gonna let a woman get messed with. I'm sure of it. They're probably
no. Are you kidding me? Even children were affected in this. I found so much evidence. We're gonna go.
Oh wow!
It's just too much.
Personally, like in the city, if I see a woman like being taken advantage of, or a dude like being trampled or something, like I step in the way and say, "Hey, bro, like let them up, like let them be themselves."
This was really warfare.
It was
too young, but. This was, I mean, they didn't give out the food.
I would have stood up myself and said, fuck that.
They had no running water. They had all these people in this little bitty space. They took away all their guns.
That is so terrible.
All their stuff.
You're about to learn, sir. You're about to learn.
In New Orleans, and in the way that family and blood ties work.
Me and my friends, when we walk around the streets, if something goes on, like we're making sure something changes, like you can't walk past something like that.
I'm going to be pulling up some pretty intense videos. People, trigger warnings. Thank you, Monroe, for that. Shake my head. It was vile what women and children. Yeah, women and children. There are 3 of you up there laughing.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
we
sorry.
appreciate it.
Maybe I don't see it the way that I should.
You will. And you know what? Let's humble all of each. I've spent a few days now gathering about 150 videos. And I do think that we're not going to watch them one by one, but we are going to pull out the meat. We are going to eat the potatoes, we're going to taste the flavor of it, because I think the only way to really, because history does get
Been through this, you know, like in my city, like
right.
I love y'all, and I'm sorry that we went through it, and I hope that we can have good times from here on out, you know, and
The thing
fix
is,
them.
Absolutely.
Like
we all gonna go through it. This is
learning this
Mother
from
Earth
the
at her finest, and we
learning from this, you know, like seeing what we can change next time if there's a major event. Like we gotta have protocols or step in the way of these
But
issues.
in a lot of way, that's not going to happen. I mean, we just saw this a few years ago in Lake Charles. They got hit twice. I mean, it was more than
Or
Lake Charles.
how they had all the people,
Lafayette and all
the
that
immigrants
area,
and things like that.
The nursing homes, it keeps happening.
got hit, and
It keeps happening. Yep.
yeah, the things that happen with the nursing homes,
children and mothers and families.
we should definitely have a better
Fathers.
protocol on that.
After 17 years. I agree.
Elders.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
especially that. Wow, when they put in all the hard work to build the foundation that we step on every day, and they're at the end of their rope, you know. We got to
right.
give them some type of respect, and or I guess just humanity. That's the thing that I come down to, is just give humanity. You know, don't
Mhm.
have people out in the streets beat to death or hurt, you know? Like there's got to be some type of, we all are humans. Like we have food in our mouth and we have somewhere we can stay, and we're understood to some extent.
I think that all over the United States, there's different things. The South deals with hurricanes. However, I think the way that our nursing homes are affected in all states,
We have air
is
conditioning.
pretty much insane. If there's a
You know,
panic and a
standard.
disaster anywhere,
Humanity.
I mean, I kind of wonder, how is this happening with the fires? Like, what's happening there? Because you
Right.
didn't hear about all the nursing homes. It wasn't like in Florida and Alabama and Mississippi. You don't hear about all of those things in national news. So are we hearing
Mm-mm.
anything about what's going on there?
No, exactly.
And we're all
Let me
gonna
see.
get old. Hey, newsflash. There's
Oh, I
two,
have this.
there's
Great.
two things. Let's see.
Yes.
You die, or the alternative is you get old and then you die. But we're going to be seniors ourselves. And what examples are we showing? And how is karma going to pay us back?
And our story is important for the future of how exactly we mentally process the whole situation. So this I just found Wednesday, August 24th. You, Marie, had asked behind the scenes, how should we bring it to the viewers? Should we bring it piece by piece? What's the earliest we can really tell people that we knew about this? Here's a great example from the lovely and the generous National Geographic. That's worth it. So we're going to watch this 5-minute long video, and we are going to break it up in pieces because that's what we do here. We do commentary, and this is a anniversary of 17 years, so it matters what we think now from then. So I hope you guys can appreciate this.
Over the Bahamas forms tropical depression band
Oops.
of wind and
There we
rain.
go.
It picks up moisture and heat, and with them speed. As its winds reach 39 miles per hour, it becomes a tropical storm and is given a name, Katrina. Along the coast of Florida, a hurricane warning is announced, the 1st of May. By 4 o'clock, Katrina grows into a Category 1 hurricane. With 80-mile-an-hour winds, it sideswipes through Florida, just north of Miami. By midnight, over 1 million homes lose power. 11 lives are lost. Katrina hooks north into the Gulf of Mexico and quickly picks up speed and size, becoming a Category 2 hurricane. Locals try to safeguard their property as the governors of Louisiana and Mississippi declare states of emergency. As its winds reach 115 miles an hour, Katrina turns into a Category 3 hurricane, with New Orleans in its sights. City officials urge those who can to evacuate. Traffic jams snarl the highways as up to 18,000 cars an hour try to make it out of harm's way. Katrina grows into a Category 4 hurricane. A few hours later, it reaches Category 5, the highest possible rating. Winds exceed 175 miles an hour. All residents in New Orleans are ordered to evacuate. For those without the means to leave, the city sets up shelters. Many locals simply hunker down in their homes and prepare to weather the storm. As dawn breaks, Katrina's wind speeds slow back down to a Category 4 hurricane. It makes landfall at 6 a.m., 60 miles southeast of New Orleans. Its 140-mile-an-hour winds pummel the coasts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. The eye of the storm moves just east of New Orleans, but the city is not spared.
140 mile an hour. Oh my. We already know what miles an hour feels like, but 140. 104.
New Orleans sits below sea level, surrounded by Lake Pontchartrain and the Mississippi River. High flood walls called levees keep the water at bay. But by 8 a.m., there are reports that a levee has broken. The waters of Lake Pontchartrain rush in. Levees in 3 locations are breached. 80% of the city is flooded. Some neighborhoods are submerged under 20 feet of water. As night falls,
I think that's the most I've heard them say now. Did you guys know that 20 feet?
Yeah.
Oh. That's why those second story houses in
That's
where
too
was it?
short.
The West End
That
area.
video where it's going into the house and they record it as it gets up the door.
Which
You know what I'm
one?
talking about?
Is it the one I sent you?
Yeah, you sent me a lot.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll go bring that one up. All right, I'm going to pull this up real quick.
Katrina slows to a tropical storm. It heads north through Tennessee
I
and into Kentucky.
Get up so.
The damage is immense.
I can't
In
say
Mississippi,
it.
the hurricane has crushed coastal towns. Hundreds are feared dead. New Orleans lies in shambles. It is left without power, without drinking water. Many residents are stranded on rooftops, desperate to be rescued. Bodies float in the streets. Looting breaks out. Thousands make their way to the Superdome and Convention Center in hopes of being evacuated. The waters stop rising, but the city is in chaos. Looting and violence are so
My
widespread
computer
that
is
police are
slowing
forced
down.
to stop rescue operations to combat the problem. Conditions at the Superdome and Convention Center are increasingly unsafe.
Sorry, guys. I'm having a little trouble. I'm pulling it up, so just bear with me. I will be right back.
People lack food, water, and basic sanitation. There are reports of violent assaults. Altogether, over 50,000 people wait for the buses that will
definitely
evacuate them. For most,
There's
the
a lot of
buses
streets that are
do
missing.
not come. The National
days.
Guard arrives in force and restores order. They bring convoys of food and water. Evacuations begin in earnest.
Big old machinery that they brought in, and they would hand
By
us
the following
rations out
Monday,
the back.
the Army Corps of Engineers plugs major holes in the levees. Draining pumps go back.
Do you remember, because you said you were right by there, what can you remember in your eyes? I found it.
I remember the concrete broken up in people's front yards, or like maybe 10 feet in the air, like 5 feet in the air or
Holy
something. I don't know.
shit.
Just like the whole front yard's ripped up. There's like caverns underneath these big tree root systems.
Holy crap.
A lot of streets
Yes,
you
the
couldn't
government
take.
did fail Louisiana. I agree with that.
The structures are just collapsed in, or the roofs are ripped off. Everything's moldy.
Right.
There was
Here's
nothing
a
to eat. It was extremely hot and humid, and so you're sweating immediately. There's no running water. If you're lucky enough to have a generator, there's no stores to buy generators. There's no gas. You have to have gas already.
I was gonna say.
To be honest, like my family, I'm very thankful for the people that were around me, because we had somewhere to stay. We had a hotel. We had food. I was able to even buy like one of those skim boards, so I could surf the waves like I was talking about. So like
Yeah.
they kind of
Had
kept
some
me out of the.
normalcy.
Yeah, they kind of kept me in a facade that we were kind of partying and hanging out of town, having fun. But when we came back, it kind of got real, because they were working all day, every day, and there was nothing but me and my cousin and my grandma and the dogs, and we slept underneath a big, huge room fan, and it kept us sweating, like
Oh,
we were
wow.
not cool at all.
Well,
But
I was gonna say,
it kept us alive, to be honest with you. And sometimes we would sleep under the generator. I think we had a
Homa. This is off of Homa
yeah,
Boulevard in
I was
Metairie, this
protected by my
video.
family, and it was still very, very intense.
They were on the 17th side of the canal.
Oh.
What was the canal for you? I'm sorry, I get confused with the canals.
The 17th canal was right where the outskirts, or the suburbs.
Metairie from
Yeah,
New Orleans.
Metairie, New
Gotcha.
Orleans, and then you get into
Okay.
Lakeview, and then the
Right,
lakefront.
but Lakeview is Orleans Parish. It divides
Mhm.
the parish. The 17th Street.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
cross a small bridge over a canal, and you're into the 17th ward. But there's levees on either side with about a 10-foot hill with
Mhm.
about as I would say a 6 to 8 foot tall concrete wall.
Uh-huh.
It's dug into the 10-foot hill, and they call it a levee and everything. But one side broke,
Wow.
and that was what was so crazy about it. It's because the canal just got so high. It's where the water goes usually when I believe the river or Lake Pontchartrain gets too deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's also the spillway, but it just got too high now and broke the wall. And
Let's see how this.
minutes.
I almost have been wondering if it's almost better that they were on such a big structure, or was
They said
this...
they dug it deeper this time, made the walls more structurally sound. And they also say they heard explosions. But was it the levee breaking naturally that caused a loud explosion noise, or was there truly like some type of explosive or something? Like, was it a setup?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, people say they heard like an explosion.
I have some
The
videos
water
we will be
rushing.
reviewing that I did find.
It's a huge task to undertake, and a lot of money goes
If so,
into
it was
to rebuild
Orleans
it.
that did it, because otherwise they would have definitely flooded Jefferson Parish.
You know how long it takes to rebuild it? And also with Ida, whenever we had the huge power outage, it was actually this huge tower on the West Bank that fell over. And after that was like what connected all the other cities to the power source. All the power went through that to the city, and then to Metairie and so on. So yeah, whenever it fell over,
See,
and
these
everybody saw
buildings,
it.
I think, didn't you have somebody we know that was in this building, Marie? I almost feel like I know this building so freaking well. This one right here. I don't know why, because this building looks familiar to it. Have you ever lived there? No. No, okay.
I've not lived there.
I don't know. Like, it just looks so familiar. Look at that.
That's
It's already starting to get stagnant. That's when you know.
No,
And
that's
it just
falling
keeps
apart, babe.
raining because that's what happens after the... Yes, the tower fell. Oh, everybody's digging it tonight. Thank you. I just think it's important. I mean, we don't have enough views for some of these people's home videos. They matter. We weren't there, all of us. Some of us were there. They need rightful, justified respect. So they suffered. If these people took these videos, they suffered. I think this is... Where's the other one? It's so sad. Okay, so when we... Let me see if this is another good one. Because he shows all the way at the top. Hold on a second. 20 people got out of the Superdome with this guy that was being interviewed. We will finish that video on another night, I think. Because it's worth viewing, but let me make sure this is maybe one of them. Oh. This just shows the devastation. Let me bring this up. It's totally worth it. It's just hard for people to really fathom. Like, you know, I don't know. Hold on a second. Share. And like, I was in Pasadena, Texas for 3 days, then went to my aunt's house, was there for 2 weeks. Then Rita hit her house. And so Rita made her end up having a huge amount of damage to a historic home she lived in. I was already living in California at that point, but it felt like it was such a weird reality that happened all together. Like everybody was being screwed with, you know? Oh, this is the one you sent me, I think. The pictures.
Yeah.
I hate how they don't fade it. I'm so picky about it. Okay. Let's see, because we kind of viewed that one already. What is this one? That's the end of that one. All right. This is pretty decent. Is this the one? I mean, what at this point in 17 years do you feel, any of you at this point, are you grateful for the experiences, or are you still, do you still think of Katrina often? I mean, does it,
No.
what things trigger you that
Drew
bring
has
back
checked out.
Katrina?
Honestly, if I'm just gonna give you my real honest, and I know it's not gonna be the crowd favorite, but I mean, it's kind of just, it's been so long, and I've been through other storms, and like there were other storms, like Betsy was before our time. We don't remember that. I mean, my dad was a baby through that. I mean, there's devastation everywhere, and I think that we really glutton for punishment living in a fishbowl. But
Well said.
it's someplace that if you ever really fall in love with her, you're gonna love her forever.
Yep.
And
that's a
I mean,
fact.
definitely in my soul, it's 504.
Yep. Well, and that's a little sneak to everybody to understand. She rides her name. She owns her name. Marie Tarot is a 504. Totally. And I always give nods to New Orleans on a regular basis. I mean, if you don't notice, my logo is purple, green, and gold for a reason. And the only reason I don't live there is the laws are what they are. I mean, honestly, if I could have had the laws stay the way they are, maybe I would have been able to afford to save up some money and rebuild often. I mean, you know, but the problem is I didn't want to rebuild often. I didn't have the money. I wanted to experience life, have things that I wasn't like, that's the thing. How many people have been buying Christmas presents all year and a hurricane hit, you know, like, or all their Christmas presents from last year's gone. It's just a fact, you know, your car you just bought gets waterlogged, you know, it's such a trade-off for living in the state. And Katrina, I mean, really did change people.
Okay, so you have hurricanes. right? Which you do get a little bit of a pre-warning. And then you have the blizzards up north, like where it's like crazy and electricity goes out and it's all that wild stuff, right? You have
Right.
tornadoes, Tornado Alley. You got fucking earthquakes where the earth is jumping. Florida's got Jesus, not only do they have hurricanes, but they got massive problems with sinking holes.
And tsunamis, and those sinkholes are terrifying as hell.
Tsunamis in other countries and could probably, I mean, you never know. We got oceans all around us. What's the chances, right?
Right.
So, I mean, the Gulf kind of does protect us. I won't deny that. I mean, it would be kind of crazy for a tsunami to make its way, but it really just takes a move in the platelets to create that, you know?
Yep.
So, I mean, you got to look at the disasters everywhere. So, like, Katrina affected me in a lot of ways. I was really coming into adulthood, and I was coming in it fast. Again, like I said in the beginning, I had an infant. I was just now getting into motherhood 101, you know, getting real life lessons. And I just think that it was just another, I mean, it has an impact for me for that. But
right.
I can't say that it didn't affect me like we saw in the comments earlier in 2012. That was crucial for me. I was there.
Right.
You know, I felt that. I had 2 weeks without power too, baby. It was rough. It was rough. You know, I mean, there's been multiple things. Hurricane Ida, you know, I had moved and my brother went through that and he turned up at my door, you know, and he's been here and it's been a great experience. But I mean, there's devastation everywhere. They got the fires. I mean, you know, you've talked to me about it where you're like, holy crap, this is getting kind of close.
Yeah.
What's going on? You know, and so I mean, there is devastation everywhere in every way. Is New Orleans home to me? Yes. Was it scary to think we might lose her? Yes. You know, and knowing how they rebuilt, I mean, the scary part that really haunts me is that I know that these people went there and they put together all these little houses or whatever. This little piggy went to the market, you know, like the 3 little pigs, the big bad wolf will come blow them down, you know. And if you really look at it, the architecture that we once really looked at and our ancestors brought here, we really should take some lessons from them.
That's right. I mean, I've said, and this is just my perspective of I've almost feel like this is my second life coming at 17. I said in my post earlier, if you've seen the previous post that I posted earlier, I feel like I was 19 when I left. I had never been out of the state at that point on my own without a family member with me. I drove a brand new car that technically wasn't registered in my name. So I felt like an adult being 19, but when I am now 30, almost 7 years old, it's so weird to me because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm even identify with that old version of me after 17 years. Yet that old version of me is the whole reason I am this today. So it's like split up 2 different lifetimes. And I do wear the honor of Katrina, but I also feel like, yes, fires, I'm ready for them. Earthquakes, I've dealt with them. Like, I choose my battles now versus living in not like you have to just like Katrina made me know that not everything you want is going to be there tomorrow. Like a fire could happen like that just on a normal day in anybody's house in the world. And even a tent.
And it
you know? Yeah. I mean, I forgot my mother's ashes in a laundry basket full of blankets ready to go, left on my bed, and drove all the way to Texas and then put all my stuff in the hotel room and then looked back in the car and was like, wait a second here. Wait a second here. Wait a second here. It was the worst feeling of my life to know that I had like forgot my mom, even though she was ashes, you know, in an urn. But this is how like fragile life is like what really was mattering was that I got home safely out of that, in a safe spot. But I ended up having them shipped almost like 6 years later, being reunited with my mother's ashes. It was a weird situation. So, and then having with you, we told that story on the last spiritual podcast,
Right.
that I hadn't seen my mom's pictures, my childhood pictures, my photo. I forgot what I looked like as a little girl until 8 years later after Katrina. I didn't remember the sound of my mom's voice until I could listen to home videos of my mother laughing.
I honestly don't
It was
have.
weird.
I have
Go
like
ahead.
three or four pictures of my childhood because they did get flooded out at Mimi's house.
It's not fair. That's not fair. Like that's a fire. It's water. It's all the same. It's destruction. It's not. Why are you being, tortured with? I thought about that today. How many family members in 17 years haven't seen pictures or heard the family? How many people are right now, either by real death or by actual being removed from their heritage, like you just said? That's being.
I mean, but I think that's happening everywhere for many, happening this year for some. And
That's if you choose to stay in a place, or that's if you or have a fire. Right? That's what we're learning. Oh geez. Okay, so some of the content that I will explore later in future episodes, we will learn that a lot of people, it's not a common misconception that Louisiana people, this is the big migration because of it. We weren't going to leave. Like I said, myself, I was like one of many. I think it was 40% of the locals. That's what the estimate was. 40% of the locals had never driven out of the state, but without a vacation reason. Like, and actually stayed for more than like 3 days. It was 3 months. It was 4 months. At least 2. The bridge wasn't allowed. People weren't able to come back over, what you were talking about. We'll give a much better visual in the next episode on this one. But I mean, I feel like you make a lot of good points, but I also feel like I've forgotten a little bit, and maybe it's important for me to remember. I want to see the side by side with the Ray Nagin thing, the Bush thing, all the people with conspiracies, oh my God, I forgot about Kanye West, girl. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes. Remember those? We'll have some funny nights with those. But we're going to cut this episode short because it's getting late, and we appreciate all of you listening tonight. And obviously, thank you for the comments too. If you've never heard about Katrina, and we're enlightening you, well, come on this journey. This is only episode 1. We're only giving you a little taste of what we remember. As we go through the footage, it will probably, bring us back, and things will pop back up in our memory, and stories will happen.
Definitely.
But you guys all have a great weekend. The rest of the week, if we don't catch you on the next episode, which will be Wednesday. And until next episode, you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me, Marie. You're awesome, always sharing your stories. And Tuki, I hope you have a good night. I think he fell asleep. It's okay. It's all right.
Be blessed.
But
and blessed be everybody. Have a great night.
have a great night.